This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stacy Yarborough, and I am the town clerk and tax collector for the town of North Haven. And pursuant to North Haven Town Charter, Chapter 9, Section 903, the town of North Haven special town meeting will now come to order. Before we begin, for everyone, a friendly reminder to all, inappropriate comments and or outbursts will not be tolerated. Please be kind, courteous, and professional in the spirit of free flow of information as relates to all different items of tonight's meeting. Civility in your comments and actions during all meetings is very much appreciated. Before we proceed, we do need to elect a meeting moderator. The moderator is nominated and elected by the members of the town meeting. That's you. It's the moderator's function to bring before the meeting all items of the warning and to assist in obtaining the objective of the meeting, while ensuring the rights and the rights of individual voters who wish to be heard. The moderator's duties also include helping any member of the town meeting who seeks clarification and or advice as to parliamentary procedure. Further, when it's time to vote on any issue tonight, including moderator, please be aware that you must be an elector of the town. So what is an elector? An elector is one who is paid, who is a registered voter in our town at the time of the most recent elections, or one who pays taxes to the town on an assessment of property of not less than $1,000 on the most recent grand list assessment date, as well as a citizen of the United States and 18 years of age or older. If you are unsure if you are an elector, I have our voter registry right here, and I can check for you at any time, so you just let me know. All right. The floor is now open for nominations for meeting moderator. Are there any nominations?
I nominate Lynn Fredrickson.
Is there a second?
Second.
And who was that? I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. White. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Hearing none, I will now put the issue to a vote. All in favor of Lynn Fredrickson as our special town meeting moderator tonight, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying nay. Thank you. At this time, I declare Lynn Fredrickson as our meeting moderator for the night.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. My name is Lynn Fredrickson, and I'm the moderator for this evening. And the town clerk will now read the warning call of tonight's special town meeting.
Thank you. Please be advised the following legal notice called the warning of meeting was published pursuant to Connecticut state statute. A special meeting of the electors and citizens qualified to vote in town meetings of the town of North Haven will be held in the upstairs conference room number 1 in the North Haven Memorial Town Hall, 18 Church Street, North Haven, Connecticut, on January 7th, 2025 at 6 p.m. for the following purpose. Number 1, to consider and act upon the recommendations of the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen to appropriate $2,800,000 for the milling and paving of town roadways. The project shall consist of milling and removal of waste materials, paving and materials, installation of manholes and drainage risers, traffic protection, including signage and police flag personnel. The appropriation may be spent for design, demolition, and construction costs, equipment, furnishings, materials, site improvements, survey costs, architects' fees, engineering equipment, furnishings, materials, site improvements, survey costs, architects' fees, engineering fees, other consultants' fees, legal fees, net temporary interest and other financing costs, and other expenses related to the project. To issue bonds or notes and temporary notes of the town in an amount not to exceed $2,800,000. To provide that the amount of bonds or notes authorized to be issued shall be reduced by any grants received for the project and not separately appropriated. To authorize our first selectman and the treasurer of the town to determine the amounts, dates, interest rates, maturities, redemption provisions, form, and other details of the bonds or notes, and to perform all other acts which are necessary or appropriate to issue the bonds or notes, and to authorize the first selectman, the treasurer, and other proper officers of the town to take all other action which is necessary or desirable to complete the project and to issue bonds or notes to finance the aforesaid appropriation. Number 2, to consider and act upon the recommendations of the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen to appropriate $450,000 for repairs, improvements, and replacements to roofs and other structural elements of various town buildings, including, but not limited to, roof and related repairs to the Walter Garwich Community Pool. The appropriation may be spent for design, demolition, and removal of materials, construction, equipment materials, site improvement, survey costs, architects' fees, engineering fees, other consultants' fees, legal fees, net temporary interest, and other financing costs, and other expenses related to the project to issue bonds or notes and temporary notes of the town in an amount not to exceed $450,000. To provide that the amount of bonds or notes authorized to be issued shall be reduced by any grants received for the project and not separately appropriated. To authorize the first selectman and the treasurer of the town to determine the amounts, dates, interest rates, maturities, redemption provisions, form, and other details of the bonds or notes, and to perform all other acts which are necessary or appropriate to issue the bonds or notes, and to authorize the first selectman, the treasurer, and other proper officers of the town to take all other action which is necessary or desirable to complete the project and to issue bonds or notes to finance the aforesaid appropriation. And 3, to consider and act upon the recommendations of the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen to appropriate $1,250,000 for the acquisition of refuse containers and the related equipment to facilitate curbside collection. The appropriation may be spent for acquisition costs, installation costs, design, engineering, and other consultant fees, legal fees, net temporary interest, and other financial costs, and other expenses related to the project to issue bonds or notes and temporary notes of the town in an amount not to exceed $1,250,000. To provide that the amount of bonds or notes authorized to be issued shall be reduced by any grants received for the project and not separately appropriated. To authorize the first selectman and the treasurer of the town to determine the amounts, dates, interest rates, maturities, redemption provisions, form, and other details of the bonds or notes, and to perform all other acts which are necessary or appropriate to issue the bonds or notes, and to authorize the first selectman, the treasurer, and other proper officers of the town to take all other action which is necessary or desirable to complete the project and to issue bonds or notes to finance the aforesaid appropriation. This notice was dated at North Haven, Connecticut on the 4th of December 2024 by the members of the Board of Selectmen.
The town clerk will now read the first item of the special town meeting agenda.
This is going to take a while. Okay. Item number 1, to consider and act upon the recommendations of the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen to appropriate $2,800,000 for the milling and paving of town roadways. The project shall consist of milling and removal of waste materials, paving and materials, installation of manholes and drainage risers, traffic protection, including signage and police and flag personnel. The appropriation may be spent for design, demolition, and construction costs, equipment, furnishings, materials, site improvements, survey costs, architect's fees, engineering fees, other consultants' fees, legal fees, net temporary interest and other financing costs, and other expenses related to the project. To issue bonds or notes and temporary notes of the town in the amount not to exceed $2,800,000. To provide that the amount of bonds or notes authorized to be issued shall be reduced by any grants received for the project and not separately appropriated. To authorize the first selectman and the treasurer of the town to determine the amounts, dates, interest rates, maturities, redemption provisions, form, and other details of the bonds or notes, and to perform all other acts which are necessary or appropriate to issue the bonds or notes, and to authorize the first selectman, the treasurer, and other proper officers of the town to take all other action which is necessary or desirable to complete the project and to issue bonds or notes to finance the aforesaid appropriation. And for this first agenda item, this is the resolution. Resolved that A, that the town of North Haven appropriate $2,800,000 for the milling and paving of town roadways. The project shall consist of milling and removal of waste materials, paving and materials, installation of manholes and drainage risers, traffic protection, including signage and police and flag personnel. The appropriation may be spent for design, demolition, and construction costs, equipment, furnishings, materials, site improvements, survey costs, architect's fees, engineering fees, other consultant fees, legal fees, net temporary interest, and other financing costs, and other expenses related to the project. B, that the town issue bonds or notes in the amount not to exceed $2,800,000 to finance the appropriation for the project. The amount of bonds or notes authorized to be issued shall be reduced by the amount of grants received by the town for the project. The bonds or notes shall be issued pursuant to Section 7-369 of the General Statutes of the State of Connecticut, revision of 1958 as amended, and any other enabling acts. The bonds or notes shall be general obligations of the town secured by the irrevocable pledge of the full faith and credit of the town. C, that the town issue and renew temporary notes from time to time in anticipation of the receipt of the proceeds from the sale of the bonds or notes for the project or the receipt of grants for the project. The amount of notes outstanding at any time shall not exceed $2,800,000. The notes shall be issued pursuant to Section 7-378 of the General Statutes of the State of Connecticut, revision 1958 as amended. The notes shall be general obligations of the town and should be secured by the irrevocable pledge of the full faith and credit of the town. The town shall comply with the provisions of 7-378A of the General Statutes with respect to any notes that do not mature within the time period by said Section 7-378. D, that the first selectman and the treasurer of the town shall sign any bonds or notes by their manual or facsimile signatures. The law firm of Pullman and Comley, LLC, is designated as bond counsel to approve the legality of the bonds or the notes. The first selectman and the treasurer are authorized to determine the amounts, dates, interest rates, maturities, redemption provisions, form, and other details of the bonds or notes, to designate one or more banks or trust companies to be certifying bank, registrar, transfer agent, and paying agent for the bonds or notes, to provide for the keeping of a record of the bonds or notes, to designate a financial advisor to the town in connection with the sale of the bonds or notes, to sell the bonds or notes at public or private sale, to deliver the bonds or notes, and to perform all other acts which are necessary or appropriate to issue the bonds or notes. E, that the town hereby declares its official intent under Federal Income Tax Regulation Section 1.150-2 that project costs may be paid from temporary advances of available funds, and that except to the extent reimbursed from grant monies, the town reasonably expects to reimburse any such advances from the proceeds of borrowings in an aggregate principal amount not in excess of the amount of borrowing authorized above for the project. The first selectman and the treasurer are authorized to amend such declaration of official intent as they deem necessary or advisable, and to bind the town pursuant to such representations and covenants as they deem necessary or advisable in order to maintain the continued exemption from federal income taxation of interest on the bonds or notes authorized by this resolution if issued on a tax-exempt basis, including covenants to pay rebates of investments earnings to the United States in future years. F, that the first selectman and the treasurer are authorized to make representations and enter into written agreements for the benefit of holders of the bonds or notes to provide secondary market disclosure information, which agreements may include such terms as they deem advisable or appropriate in order to comply with applicable laws or rules pertaining to the sale or purchase of such bonds or notes. And G, that the first selectman, the treasurer, and other proper officers of the town are authorized to take all other action which is necessary or desirable to complete the project and issue bonds, notes, or other obligations to finance the aforesaid appropriation.
Is there a second for the resolution?
I'll second.
And your name, sir?
Tim Donnie.
Now we come to the point of the meeting when we open the floor for discussion for this agenda item. And the rules for discussion. For any ensuing discussion, anyone who wishes to speak will get a chance to comment before anyone can be called up a second time. You must come forward to the microphone, state your name and address before you begin to speak. Discussion will be limited to this item only at this time. We ask that you limit your questions and discussion to no longer than 5 minutes. Remember, after everyone has had a chance to speak, you may have another turn. Now, is there any discussion for this agenda item?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
give an overview, okay?
Mr. Frieda, yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, what you just witnessed was the legal aspect of these town meetings, and that's why our town clerk, Stacy Yarborough, read the resolutions. That is something we have to do at every town meeting. So, for those that are here for the first time tonight, this is really your meeting. The way this works is that we have 3 resolutions on the agenda. We decided to trifurcate the 3 issues rather than to put them into one resolution, because we wanted to give all of the residents of North Haven who attend this meeting an opportunity to vote on each and every one. So that's the overview in conjunction with what Stacy just did. So as far as the bonding resolution for paving, the way this is being proposed tonight, this is why I wanted to give a summary, is that this represents approximately 6.4 miles worth of roadways. The town engineer is coming with a recommended list, which will probably include about 21 to 22 roads. We paused on the paving last year because the cost per mile went from $200,000 to $300,000 a mile to pave and mill. This is something that I spent a lot of time on in this government, details. Now, with respect to this year, the cost is about the same, about $300,000. But the 2.9 million, I'm going to take you through this very carefully. The 2.9 million also includes $750,000 for a design phase study to reconstruct and repair Sackett Point Road from the bridge where the work was already done to State Street. That is a very important part of Sackett Point Road. For that, by putting the $750,000 in this bond resolution, we will get back from the state somewhere between $6.2 million and $7 million worth of grant money. And that will be used to reconstruct that whole area from the bridge to Sackett Point Road, which will include not only paving, it'll include sidewalks, curbing, massive drainage improvements, because I'm very tied in with all the businesses here in North Haven. There's major flooding on Sackett Point Road in that area. A couple of our large grand list members are flooded out. They can't even conduct their own operations when there's these storms. So this will include, and I'm going to further illustrate, rather than just give you a summary, I'm going to tell you exactly the other things that are involved by spending $750,000 to get $6.2 to $7 million that the town doesn't have to pay for to reconstruct a major road. Now, I know there's some people in this room that think we're spending a lot of money, so I'm going to take you through this, okay? In addition to what I just said, this is a full-depth reconstruction of that road from the bridge to State Street. This includes a sub-base, base, and pavement improvement to add greater viscosity to the pavement there. This will be a new drainage system, including a new stormwater outfall into tidal waters. That is a lot of detail involved with that. A new retaining wall at the intersection of State Street and Sackett Point Road, which will help prevent the flooding over on State Street. Signal light revisions at State Street. which is another major part of this, to put the 750 in this bond package. I talked about curbs, curbing the area. Sidewalks, very important. Businesses walk there. There's no sidewalks. We have businesses on Sackett Point Road that people, on State Street, that people from Sackett Point Road walk to try to get to those businesses. So the sidewalks, all new concrete sidewalks on one side of the road, including a new sidewalk installed with the bridge. A reconstruction of the at-grade railroad crossing, which is a hazard right now. And one last point, a construction of a new pedestrian railroad crossing. So, $750,000 is part of the $2,800,000. By putting it in there, we are guaranteed to get between $6.2 and $7 million from the state to reconstruct that whole area and solve all those problems. On top of that, out of the $2.9 million, out of that $2.9 million, we're adding in there for a design phase of $190,000 to get $2 million back from the state to redo all of Church Street in front of Town Hall, to improve those crosswalks. Because think about this, if you're coming down Broadway and you're taking a right on Church Street as pedestrians are walking across, that is a recipe for a disaster over there. So by adding that amount, the $190,000 into the bonding, we'll get $2 million from the state to redesign all that. And all that, ladies and gentlemen, is designed to improve public safety. Any questions? Miss Sally. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm moderator, please.
Yes, Sally.
Sally Blamey, 5 Blossom Drive. Madam Moderator, I want to express my sympathies to the family of Nancy Alderman, a great North Havener and dedicated environmentalist. Mr. Frieda, I'm very appreciative of the fact that we have divided these into 3 different bonding packages so that we can vote separately. I am in favor of this first amount. It is 2.8. You've said 2.9 a couple of times, but it is 2.8 million. I have supported the last 11 plus years all of our milling and paving appropriations, bonding appropriations. The paving of our streets just affects our quality of life, and I've always supported that. But I'm very, very happy about the improvements to Sackett Point Road. In our town, we have only 3 major east-west roads, which is Sackett Point, Clintonville Road, Route 22, and the Route 40 connector. And Sackett Point, especially for East Siders like myself, is a main artery to get to the other side of town or to go to Hamden, to go to Liuzzi's. This is long overdue. Sackett Point Road has been in pretty tough shape for years and years. So I am very grateful that it's going down to the base. It's not just a milling. The rest of the milling and paving is just a milling and paving that we normally have almost every year since I've been here. We've had that project. So I'm in support of this, and I urge my fellow citizens at this town meeting to support item number 1. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator.
Thank you, Sally.
Nancy Barrett, 1 Crestview Drive. I also support this project, but I'd just like to clarify something with Mr. Frieda. I spoke with the town engineer, Andy Bevilacqua, today, and as far as the reconstruction, because it's not just repaving, it's reconstruction of Sackett Point Road from the bridge all the way to State Street, the $750,000 investment just represents an investment in the design services.
That's what
correct?
I said, yes, design.
So that's only phase 1 of this, right? Following this town meeting, we will at some point, maybe a year from now, have to have another town meeting in order to approve the probably $7 million for the entire project, and then we'll be reimbursed from the state and federal government. Is that correct?
That's correct. So the way this works is that we, like we did with the Sackett Point Road Bridge, a resolution was passed in 2008 or 9 that was a $12.4 million project. So 10% of that was the town's responsibility. And the balance was with the state and the federal government. 10 to 12% was the town's responsibility. So what we have to do is we'll call another town meeting back when we're ready for that reconstruction. We will bond for the amount. Some people think, well, you're bonding for $7 million. What does that mean? We're not taking $7 million. It's a draw against. And when the invoices come in for the work that's done, we get reimbursed by the state in that case. In this case we're talking about. And even so, we have a resolution in place for $7 million. We're not taking $7 million. That's not affecting the taxes here in town. We're drawing against the amount that's needed for the work that's done. So yes, that's the case.
And for the other project that you mentioned, the Central Square, where we're investing the $190,000 and we'll be getting back $2 million, will that be the same arrangement?
Same arrangement.
So we contribute towards the design,
Yep.
and then ultimately have a second wave of bonding that will ultimately be reimbursed from the state and federal government?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for clarifying. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Sir?
Hi, Tony, how are you?
Good evening, everyone. My name's Tony Cuomo. I live at 58 Summer Lane here in North Haven, and I urge you all to vote no, a strong no against this. First of all, the $750,000 to get $7 million from the state should be separate. And to spend $2.8 million when taxes were just raised the last 2 years, and we're facing another tax increase this year with the reevaluations of our town, is fiscally irresponsible. We also have higher priorities than roads, like our grammar schools, where our students 4 months of the year have no air conditioning, sit at 90-degree heat. So I really think the town leadership is wrong on this, and we should all vote no against this, because it's way too much money, and we have higher priorities in this town than roads at this time. So please vote no against this, and your taxes are going to go up yet again when these things start passing through, being voted on as yes. Your yes vote means higher taxes. No vote means perhaps the taxes will stay the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Mary White, Summer Lane. I'm the opposite. I say, please vote yes on this. I just wanted to say that I think town roads are very important, because if they're not kept up, they'll do damage to your cars. Also, it's dangerous too. People can get injured. I wanted to also just clarify, because I had taken some notes at a town meeting. There's a part with Church Street, and it said match. So that's included? There will be a part paved for
So,
Church Street?
What I mentioned earlier, Mary, out of this bond package, the $190,000 go to the design to redo Church Street.
Oh, that's the one, okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. And I also wanted to bring forth that this does include the transfer station parking lot to be paved. I remember hearing that. And the northeast firehouse parking lot to be paved. And then, is it 6.4 miles or 7.4 miles? Because I heard both numbers.
Yeah, it's about 6.4. You know, it's all going to depend upon the cost. We're
Right.
estimating that it's $300,000. It could be $320 or $330.
Okay. All right, and so I'm encouraging people to vote yes.
Can I say something else?
Yeah.
So I can talk to Mr. Como this way because I know him. I think he's really wrong on this. I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. Because we're already doing a study with the school system to try to figure out the air conditioning issue. We already have money put aside to do the HVAC study there. So that's already a project rolling on. You know, to say that this is not a priority when we got a public safety issue on Church Street, and we have businesses, and you know, you've seen me involved with businesses. You know how important businesses are to the town here. When we have businesses that are flooding, that are shut down, or are thinking of moving out of town because it's the town in the past has ignored this issue. That's why I think you're wrong, Mr. Como. We have to have roads paved. We can't have potholes, people driving on potholes on some of these roads. So to address your concern, we already have a study. We already have a couple of studies going on in the school system to improve HVAC, to look at air conditioning. And if that study comes back and the Board of Ed says to us that this is what we're looking for, that would go to another bonding package. So it's already in motion.
Not yet. Would anyone else like to speak?
Tom White, Summer Lane. I think everybody's fear is the unknown about what the revaluation is going to do to affect us. We don't know. Everybody usually, well, they're basing the increase on the current mill rate, which we know is going to change. We just don't know how far down it's going to go. And I calculated for us specifically, even if it was at 28 mills, there's still going to be an increase, and it's substantial. It's not.
All right,
it's not
sir,
minimal.
you need to focus on the matter at hand.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, all I'm saying is I think that's what's causing the fear of bringing the projects in now. If it wasn't a revaluation year, I think it might be easier for people to accept. They're nervous. They're scared about it.
And that's what I said earlier, Tom. This meeting is about the people here. They're going to vote on these 3 resolutions tonight.
Ma'am?
Alex Johnson, 50 Fallon Drive. I just wanted to thank Mr. Frieda for considering pedestrians so much. I know he has heard me long time talk about people who take the buses, people who walk. Especially, I haven't been able to come to a lot of town meetings lately without a ride because crossing Church and Broadway, people have almost hit me so many times. So I love you. I would kiss you if it wasn't virus reason. So thank you. I really, really do appreciate that in so many ways. Also, from someone who takes the bus, if people are not aware, there is one bus that goes down Washington Ave, goes down that little bridge, and turns on Universal. And then there's one bus that takes State Street. There's nothing that connects the two. A lot of people walk there. I have had to walk there to catch that State Street bus. And I had because there's currently not a very safe way to walk across the train tracks. I've almost had my shoelace get stuck in the train tracks. It's terrifying. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for considering so many people that take those modes of walking over there, how flooded it gets, how dangerous it can get. So I really do extremely appreciate it. If I can even ask a tiny little thing, would be like a little cover over that bench over there for the bus stop, because when it rains, nobody loves to get soaked, but even safe walkways, safe pedestrian ways here in North Haven is such an accessibility issue, and I really appreciate that. So I really strongly hope that people vote yes for this, just for people's safety, because not everybody can afford a car. And some folks do have to walk, and it's better to at least do it safely and have a beautiful place and a safe place to get to and fro in our own town. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this matter?
There's a gentleman there speak right there.
Mr. Como would like to have a rebuttal.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, just wanted to comment against Mike Frieda said. Studies don't cool our children, okay? I understand roadways are very important. I drive through this town every single day and everything seems very safe to me. The Sackett Point Road he's talking about is money we need from the state to do that, okay? So we should put through agree on the $750,000, which isn't a big amount of money, go get that money from the state. But to bundle into this is not the right thing to do. So you need to vote no to this, please. Please vote no. Your taxes are going to go up. Trust me, they're going to go up.
So if I can rebut Mr. Como, what he doesn't understand is the fact that the state, it's now a state procedure. You do not get the design phase from the state. There's a matching fund that every city and town has to go through right now. So in order to get 6.2 to 7 million, you have to put 750 forward. Because if we go your way, we're not getting the 7 million. And then we're not gonna be able to do the project. Because then it becomes the taxpayer's expense. Then it's gonna cost the taxpayers $7 million. This way it costs $750, amortized over 17 years. So it's not $750 a year. Amortized over 17 years, this $750, to get 6.2 to $7 million. I don't know, and across the state, the municipalities are on board with this. It's called a matching fund to get 10 to 12 times more than what the match is. So that argument is impossible, because the state will say, all right, you don't want to do the design, you're not getting the money.
Thank you.
The one thing, I'm not saying not spend the 750, spend the 750, go ahead. All I'm saying is 2.8 million is gonna raise your taxes. You have to vote no to this, cannot pass. This leadership is irresponsible, raising taxes every year.
Well,
They're pricing ourselves out of this town.
all right, so I guess the people are gonna vote, right? So-
They are, yes. Okay. Does anyone else wish to speak? All right. All in favor of the resolution for agenda item number 1, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed by saying nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it, the resolution passes. And the town clerk will now read the second item of the special town meeting agenda.
Thank you. Item number 2, to consider and act upon the recommendations of the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen to appropriate $450,000 for repairs, improvements, and replacements to roofs and other structural elements of various town buildings, including but not limited to roof and related repairs to the Walter Garrett Community Pool. The appropriation may be spent for design, demolition, and removal of materials, construction equipment, materials, site improvements, survey costs, architect fees, engineering fees, and other consultant fees, legal fees, issue bonds or notes and temporary notes of the town in an amount not to exceed $450,000. To provide that the amount of bonds or notes authorized to be issued shall be reduced by any grants received for the project and not separately appropriated. To authorize the first selectman and the treasurer of the town to determine the amounts, dates, interest rates, maturities, redemption provisions, form, and other details of the bonds or notes, and to perform all other acts which are necessary or appropriate to issue the bonds or notes, and to authorize the first selectman, the treasurer, and other proper officers of the town to take all other action which is necessary or desirable to complete the project, and to issue bonds or notes to finance the aforesaid appropriation. This is the technical resolution for this item number. A, that the town of North Haven appropriate $450,000 for repairs, improvements, and replacements to roofs and other structural elements of various town buildings, including but not limited to roof and related repairs to the Walter Gorich Community Pool. The appropriation may be spent for design, demolition, and removal of materials, construction equipment, materials, site improvement, survey costs, architect fees, engineering fees, and other consultant fees, legal fees, net temporary interest, and other financing costs, and other expenses related to the project. B, that the town issue bonds or notes in the amount not to exceed $450,000 to finance the appropriations for the project. The amount of bonds or notes authorized to be issued shall be reduced by the amount of grants received by the town for the project. The bonds or notes shall be issued pursuant to Section 7-369 of the General Statutes of Connecticut Revision of 1958 as amended, and any other enabling acts. The bonds or notes shall be general obligations of the town, secured by the irrevocable pledge of the full faith and credit of the town. The total amount of bonds issued shall be reduced by the amount of grants or others received and not separately appropriated for the project. Such grants and other funds are anticipated to be approximately $447,550,000. C, that the town issue and renew temporary notes from time to time in anticipation of the receipt of the proceeds from the sale of the bonds or notes for the project or the receipt of grants for the project. The amount of the notes outstanding at any time shall not exceed $450,000. The notes shall be issued pursuant to Section 7-378 of the General Statutes of Connecticut, revisions of 1958 as amended. The notes shall be general obligations of the town and shall be secured by the irrevocable pledge of the full faith and credit of the town. The town shall comply with the provisions of Section 7-378A of the General Statutes with respect to any notes that do not mature within the time period by said Section 7-378. D, that the first selectman and the treasurer of the town shall sign any bonds or notes by their manual or facsimile signatures. The law firm of Pullman and Comley LLC is designated as bond counsel to approve the legality of bonds or notes. The first selectman and the treasurer are authorized to determine the amounts, dates, interest rates, maturities, redemption provisions, form, and other details of the bonds or notes. To designate one or more banks or trust companies to be certifying bank, registrar, transfer agent, and paying agent for the bonds or notes. To provide for the keeping of a record of the bonds or notes, to designate a financial advisor to the town and in connection with the sale of the bonds or notes, to sell the bonds or notes at public or private sale, to deliver the bonds or notes, and to perform all other acts which are necessary or appropriate to issue the bonds or notes. E, that the town hereby declares its official intent under Federal Income Tax Regulations Section 1.150-2 that project costs may be paid from temporary advances of available funds, and that, except to the extent reimbursed from grant money, the town reasonably expects to reimburse any such advances from the proceeds of borrowings in an aggregate principal amount not in excess of the amount of borrowing authorized above for the project. The first selectman and the treasurer are authorized to amend such declaration of official intent as they deem necessary or advisable, and to bind the town pursuant to such representations and covenants as they deem necessary or advisable, in order to maintain the continued exemption from federal income taxation of interest on the bonds or notes authorized by this resolution, if issued on a tax-exempt basis, including covenants to pay rebates of investment earnings to the United States in future years. F, that the first selectman and the treasurer are authorized to make representations and enter into written agreements for the benefit of holders of the bonds or notes to provide secondary market disclosure information, which agreements may include such terms as they deem advisable or appropriate in order to comply with applicable laws or rules pertaining to the sale or purchase of such bonds or notes. And G, that the first selectman, the treasurer, and other proper officers of the town are authorized to take all other action which is necessary or desirable to complete the project and to issue bonds, notes, or other obligations to finance the aforesaid appropriation.
Is there a second for the resolution?
Second.
Your name, sir? Oh, Rich, I couldn't see you. Now we come to the point of the meeting when we open the floor for discussion for this agenda item. The rules for discussion are as before. You will have a chance to speak, and if you need a second chance to speak, you can do that as well after everyone else has been able to speak the first time. You must come forward to the microphone, state your name and address before beginning to speak. The discussion will be limited to this item only at this time, and we ask that you limit your questions and discussion to no longer than 5 minutes. Remember, after everyone has had a chance to speak, you may have another turn. Is there any discussion for this item?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
overview.
Yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, here's the overview. And I'd like you to direct your attention to this right here, just as an example. So, our town buildings are like our homes. Over the course of time, there's repairs that need to be done. So this past summer, I probably interacted with over 10,000 people on the North Haven Green, concert goers. And I spend 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and sometimes I'm the last one out talking to people. And a couple of times, many times I heard, not a couple, many times I heard, I'll give you a specific example. Hey, Mr. Frieda, Town Hall, the pillars look like they're peeling. The front door has a lot of rust on it. You know, sir, they said to me, you know, we know that you're trying to improve the town. Sometimes the town buildings represent the powerful optic for the town. So I'm going to share with you what this $450,000 is going towards. And again, it's your vote tonight. We're presenting to you what the issues are or what the opportunities are. So we had a pool that we did some repairs. And we spent a lot of money on that. I want you to visualize people in a pool and rust bolts were coming down from the roof. I hope everyone here agrees that that's something the town has to take care of. Upon further review and further evaluation, there was a steel structural beam that was compromised with about 1/3 of that beam chipped away. Can you imagine if that roof collapsed while people were in there, kids swimming, school, senior citizens? So we're addressing the needs that need to be done. This $450,000, $250,000 is for a structural steel repair to repair that beam. To visualize this, the beam compromised by 1/3 is going to be repaired and reinforced. That's a public safety issue. That's number one. Mason repair and painting at the annex. If you're over at the annex looks like it's 1978 over there. So we have a lot of meetings there. Public comes in there. Businesses come in. Contractors seeking permits. This is why we're moving forward with this. And that amount is $45,000. Masonry repair, roof patching, and painting at the rec center. We got some leaks there. Painting is peeling. Again, we have people coming in there. We have children coming in there and their parents. It's not a good look, ladies and gentlemen, for the town. Siding, door repair, painting for the Senior Citizens Center. Senior citizens notice that. I hope everyone here supports the senior citizens and also looks at improving and correcting some of the problems that we have over there. That, ladies and gentlemen, is $25,000. And then a masonry repair for the town hall, correcting the leaks in the roof and getting that up to speed so that we at least have a look here that doesn't look like that, as an example. So all this totals up to the $450,000 resolution tonight. Madam Chair?
Would anyone like to comment? Sally?
Thank you. Sally Buemi, 5 Blossom Drive. I am also supportive of this second item. I mean, what's wrong with 1978? That was a good year for me. We did. Storm Larry in February. I was a senior at UConn. It was a lot of fun. But I agree, especially with the pool and town hall. I spent a lot of time the past 11 years visiting the seniors at the senior center, participating in events there, and I agree that it needs some help. So I am in support of this $450,000 bonding authorization. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally. Anyone else? Ma'am?
Mary White, Summer Lane. I just wanted to say that I am in favor of this. I hope people vote for it, and I think all the items that are included are needed for public safety, too. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Nancy Barrett, 1 Crestview Drive. Again, I support this resolution, but I just had one clarifying question. Given the structural concern, is the pool currently closed or should it be closed?
No. The pool is open because we did a lot of repairs on it already, but this is the next thing that needs to be addressed. The engineers say the pool is safe right now, but ignoring this will be a problem.
Right, but in the process of actually repairing this structural beam, would you have to shut down the pool in order to repair it?
Rich?
Days at a time.
I'm sorry?
We may close it for a week or two.
For a period of time and maybe drain the pool in case things rain down?
If the pool's not closed at certain hours, we can schedule around it.
Okay, all right. That was my primary concern, was during the process of executing this final repairs. I just want to make sure that everyone was safe. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any additional comments, questions, concerns? Okay. All in favor of the resolution for agenda item number 2, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed by saying nay?
Nay.
Okay, thank you. The resolution passes. And the town clerk will now read the third and final item of the special town meeting agenda.
Item number 3, to consider and act upon the recommendation of the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen to appropriate $1,250,000 for the acquisition of refuse containers and the related equipment to facilitate curbside collection. The appropriation may be spent for acquisition costs, installation costs, design, engineering, and other consultant fees, legal fees, net temporary interest, and other financing costs and other expenses related to the project, to issue bonds or notes and temporary notes of the town in an amount not to exceed $1,250,000. To provide that the amount of bonds or notes authorized to be issued shall be reduced by any grants received for the project and not separately appropriated. To authorize the first selectman and the treasurer of the town to determine the amounts, dates, interest rates, maturities, redemption provisions, form, and other details of the bonds or notes, and to perform all other acts which are necessary or appropriate to issue the bonds or notes, and to authorize the first selectman, the treasurer, and other proper officers of the town to take all other action which is necessary or desirable to complete the project, and to issue bonds or notes to finance the aforesaid appropriation. And for this agenda item, this is the language of the resolution. Resolved, A, that the town of North Haven appropriate $1,250,000 for the acquisition of refuse containers and the related equipment to facilitate curbside collection. The appropriation may be spent for acquisition costs, installation costs, design, engineering, and other consultant fees, legal fees, net temporary interest, and other financing costs, and other expenses related to the project. B, that the town issue bonds or notes in an amount not to exceed $1,250,000 to finance the appropriation for the project. The amount of bonds or notes authorized to be issued shall be reduced by the amount of grants received by the town for the project. The bonds or notes shall be issued pursuant to Section 7-369 of the General Statutes of Connecticut, revision of 1958 as amended, and any other enabling acts. The bonds or notes shall be general obligations of the town secured by an irrevocable pledge of the full faith and credit of the town. The total amount of bonds issued shall be reduced by the amount of grants or other funds received and not separately appropriated for the project. Such grants and other funds are anticipated to be approximately $447,550. C, that the town issue and renew temporary notes from time to time in anticipation of the receipt of the proceeds from the sale of the bonds or notes for the project of the receipt of grants for the project. The amount of the notes outstanding at any time shall not exceed $1,250,000. The notes shall be issued pursuant to Section 7-378 of the General Statutes of Connecticut, revision of 1958 as amended. The notes shall be general obligations of the town and shall be secured by the irrevocable pledge of the full faith and credit of the town. The town shall comply with the provisions of Section 7-378A of the General Statutes with respect to any notes that do not mature within the time period by said Section 7-370A. D, that the first selectman and the treasurer of the town shall sign any bonds or notes by their manual or facsimile signatures. The law firm of Pullman and Comley, LLC, is designated as bond counsel to approve the legality of the bonds or notes. The first selectman and the treasurer are authorized to determine the amounts, dates, interest rates, maturities, redemption provisions, form, and other details of the bonds or notes. To designate one or more banks of trust companies to be certifying bank, registrar, transfer agent, and paying agent for the bonds or notes. To provide for the keeping of a record of the bonds or notes, to designate a financial advisor to the town in connection with the sale of the bonds or notes, to sell the bonds or notes at public or private sale, to deliver the bonds or notes, and to perform all other acts which are necessary or appropriate to issue the bonds or notes. E, that the town hereby declares its official intent under federal income tax regulation section 1.150-2 that project costs may be paid from temporary advances of available funds, and that except to the extent reimbursed from grant monies, the town reasonably expects to reimburse any such advances from the proceeds of borrowings in an aggregate principal amount not in excess of the amount borrowing authorized above for the project. The first selectman and the treasurer are authorized to amend such declaration of official intent as they deem necessary or advisable, and bind the town pursuant to such representations and covenants as they deem necessary or advisable, in order to maintain the continued exemption from federal income taxation of interest on the bonds or notes authorized by this resolution if issued on a tax-exempt basis, including covenants to pay rebates of investments earned to the United States in future years. F, that the first selectman and the treasurer are authorized to make representations and enter into written agreements for the benefit of holders of the bonds or notes to provide secondary market disclosure information, which agreements may include such terms as they deem advisable or appropriate in order to comply with applicable laws or rules pertaining to the sale or purchase of such bonds or notes. And G, that the first selectman, the treasurer, and any other proper officer of the town are authorized to take all other action which is necessary or desirable to complete the project and to issue bonds, notes, or other obligations to finance the aforesaid appropriation.
Is there a second for the resolution?
Leonard Thomas, Upper State Street.
And now, again, we have come to the point of the meeting when we open the floor for discussion for this agenda item, and the rules are as previously stated. You must come forward, and Mr. Frieda,
Yes.
did you want to?
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the one we've heard the most about, and I'm assuming that's why most of the people are here tonight. So, this has been a request from Public Works for a few years now. And tonight, we're going to hear from our Public Works Director, who handles the streets and roads, oversees sanitation, plowing, Mike Maturo. He's going to present to you why this is important from his point of view, and why this is the trend now across the state of Connecticut. As an example, some very well-run towns, Branford, Milford, North Branford, Northford, and Cheshire have already migrated to this. So tonight is going to be a presentation by Mike Maturo, and then we're going to be looking for some feedback. And again, this is going to be your vote tonight. So, but we want to have Mike come up here to explain it in detail. Mike, come on up, please.
Good evening, Mike Maturo, Public Works Director. As you all know, in the past, we've had many meetings on these totes. Reason why we want to move forward on these totes is we're having a lot of issues with staffing, injuries, as well as because they are 14-gallon recycling bins, a lot of litter throughout the town. What these totes are going to help us with, or we're going to move into our next generation of trash collection. It's fully automated trucks. At the very beginning, there's going to be 2 employees in a truck. As we progress and get better, as the residents of North Haven know how to set the can up, we may reduce it to 1, but that's to be determined. We might just leave it at 2 and run with it, and so that if a driver is out sick, we have a backup driver. So I brought a sample here of the can, how much trash it can handle. And these are all household garbage bags from the kitchen.
That looks like mine for Christmas.
That's one can. without using this, we would have 2 or 3 cans. So just imagine getting up to a stop. I started with sanitation, I was calling, so it's every stop, you're grabbing and you're emptying. Or you're grabbing a can, you're passing it to your coworker. It's stressful. It's a lot of stress on your body, physically, shoulders, knees, ankles, and so forth and so on. We did purchase 2 side loaders, believe it or not, in the position that it's in. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna get out there, I'm gonna be the first one to actually get on it and use it. So I had a full-time driver drive the truck, and I was a collector. At the end of the day, I didn't know I had that many muscles that I haven't used. It's a lot of work. These will work. Put the arms, fully automated arms. Their truck is gonna do the work. The employees are just gonna drive, make sure the can gets on the ground and is out of harm's way. Very reliable. I have residents and friends, family that live in towns that have these already. They love them. Bring them to the curb, you set them. At the end of the day, they're empty, you just bring it back in. Very light. I know a lot of older residents are worried about how much they weigh. Just for an example, I have not that, well, she doesn't have a home anymore, but she was about 76 years old, able to cart this out to the curb full. So it is light, it is designed that even the oldest person pick it up, bring it to the curb, place it at the curb, and at the end of the day, just bring it inside. So these are our current recycling bins. Just imagine going to a house and doing 3 or 4, 5 or 6 of these at a time, at one house. Over 300 stops. So you're grabbing this, wet newspaper, cans, bottles, whatever. And you're just grabbing and going. I mean, it's a lot of wear on the body. Well, I don't know if I should let this out, but we just currently had one of our collectors slip and fall today, just going out and getting a can. We're gonna try to eliminate that. We're gonna utilize our staff to do other things. We do need a lot more employees for what we do at streets and roads, sanitation, parks, so we can utilize the staff that is currently there to do other stuff. Litter patrol, I know a lot of you drive the town roads, they're a mess. We could spend a week on a road, the next day, it looks like we're never there. So, here it is. This is what it could handle. I know some of you are gonna come up here and ask, how about if we need 2? We're gonna supply you 1 of these for trash and 1 for recycling. If you needed additional ones, you would have to purchase them at a retailer. I mean, it holds a lot of trash. I mean, if you can't fit all your trash in here, then maybe some of it is recyclable. Maybe some is not. Any questions?
I didn't get the truck pick the vehicle?
Excuse me, sir, if you want to speak, this is a public hearing, you would need to.
No, it's gotta come up to
So what we have now is, we have.
You have to come up to the
He has to come
microphone.
up because
You
they
have to
can't,
come up.
All right.
they can't hear him on TV.
Sure.
Nick Gill, 108 Grove Road. My question is, does the truck pick those up?
Yes.
Yes.
rear
Initially,
loader-
or like the?
The rear loader is able to pick those up, and
okay.
once we install the arms on the other side loaders, they'll be able to pick them up, whatever weight they are. I mean, we are going to limit the weight, considering that it's going to be wear and tear on the equipment itself, and we're going to monitor what goes in these cans.
Okay, so no roadkill in the cans.
Roadkill, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Sir?
Tony Cuomo, 58 Summer Lane. I have a question for this gentleman. Nice presentation, thank you. What are you doing when it snows and you got snowbanks? Where are they going to put this monstrosity?
Well, we currently have some residents that have these, and just keep in mind, we're picking up 30-gallon pails on snowbanks. Some people put it behind the snowbank, so we're having the employee climb the snowbank and pick that up.
Meanwhile, they're
Like
never
we
gonna
said,
pick up.
with the normal cans, you have to make a clean spot to put them in. So we're gonna need a clean spot for you to put these in. The truck's gonna do the weight, so it's gonna be less wear and tear on our staff, our employees that we pay taxes for.
Sir?
My name is Leonard Thomas, 7 Upper State Street. And before I say anything, I want to qualify myself. I've spent most of my life in environmental jobs, everything from wastewater collection, treatment, trash disposal with BFI and ADS, American Disposal Systems. It looks really nice with crumpled up newspaper. Put some real garbage in there, you're not getting 15 bags. You're gonna get 6 or 7 in there. I currently have 3 cans that I've purchased several years ago that I use, and your trucks have the capability because one of your workers showed me that they like those cans and they can use them. Problem is, they never use them. They're grabbing the bags out of them and putting them in the back of the garbage truck. And they leave all the garbage that I pick up in my lawn on Upper State Street in the bottom of the can. So if they're not gonna dump those cans, which are a little smaller, what makes me think they're gonna be dumping these? They're gonna be reaching in and grabbing the bags, okay? And the second thing is, these create a hazard for drivers because they have to be out on the street, okay? You get inclement weather, we get a bunch of storms, the snow starts piling up, the roads get narrower and narrower, sidewalks get narrower and narrower. Okay, now you've got not only hazards to pedestrians who are trying to walk, but you also have hazards to the motorists out there, you know, trying to avoid these on trash day. And you get a busy street like Quinnipiac or Upper State or Clintonville Road, you know, you're looking for problems, you know. So I would strongly urge you to vote no. I mean, why should we as residents be responsible for everybody in town's garbage cans? You know, if I can go out and buy my own garbage cans, everybody else can. You know, just because it's a trend doesn't mean it's the right trend. So, thank you.
Thank you. I believe I saw that hand
Can I
first,
just answer that
sir.
before we move forward?
Sure.
So on the hazard part, I've seen smaller bins out in the road, the recycling bins out in the road. They're all a hazard. So nice presentation, nice question, nice statement. But I've seen these in windstorms. If you place them in the right spot, they're gonna stay there. They're not gonna blow in the road, they're not gonna be a hazard, they're not gonna be a hazard for the resident, the walkers, so forth and so on. So I strongly suggest we get these so that we could have our staff not get hurt picking up a can that's on a snowbank, full of snow, full of water, and twice the weight of the can.
This gentleman here has the floor.
Steve Greco, 56 South Avenue. To something the gentleman over there said, I currently have compliant garbage cans that can get picked up by the garbage truck, and they do every week without problem. Yes, there may be some garbage left in the can because it is an automated thing and it's not going to be able to get everything. You're going to have to do some work. As it is now, you should be shoveling out where you put your garbage cans. You can't just throw them in the street. And as far as we're being a little focused on a piece of plastic, but what we're doing is saving these guys' bodies. This is really hard work. Nobody wants to hump 100 pounds of garbage into this. We will greatly reduce insurance claims. We will greatly reduce our premiums for our sanitation workers. And I strongly urge everybody to vote yes on this.
I'm not sure whose hand went up first. I believe it is the gentleman sitting next to Todd. Someone-
Mike, can you take the bin off? 'Cause it's hard to see.
Yeah, I can.
Okay, hi.
Joe Sizignano, 13 Anthony Road. Ever since I've been a kid, I've seen them pick up the trash like this for years. I think people like it, they get to know the people, but my question is when you have some weeks where you have over amount of trash or whatever, is there a place to bring it? Is there a dump anymore?
Yes, sir.
Where?
Recycling center right on.
Yeah, but they got a little trash can there, that's it.
So to answer that question, because this is a temporary transfer recycling center, we have just dumpsters there. Once we build our new transfer recycling center, we're gonna have a compactor there. It's gonna be a 30-yard container, compact. Just go there, dump them in there. As long as you're a resident, you'll be able to utilize the facility.
I just don't think it's the time for us to do it right now. I think people were used to what we have, and we've done it since I was a kid. And all the trash guys that do it, my son worked for the town, did trash for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and then he got a new job to do in his trade. He didn't want to leave doing the trash. I'm like, why? Dad, my muscles are good now. I'm strong. I had to fight him to go into air conditioning. He worked there for 4 weeks.
He was young.
He was young, but still, he did it. But that's it. That's all I have to say about it.
Thank you. Todd?
Todd Ritchie, 27 Fallon Drive. To comment on your part about saving their bodies, I'm a contractor. I lift that every day. They know what the job description is when they apply for the job. So if they're getting hurt, listen, I'm out there shoveling driveways in snowstorms. You do what you gotta do to put the food on the table. Number two, my household is a household of 8. I'm gonna need 3 of these. So now I gotta go spend $300 on 2 more trash cans when I already have trash cans? I'm never gonna fill that. If you saw what I put out on Christmas Day, the poor guys, I'm glad I tip them because they'd probably want to kill themselves if they knew it was my household. I think it's a bad idea. Like everybody says, it's an evaluation year. We're gonna get hit with a tax increase. This is just another tax increase.
Thank you. Sally?
I'll go through the one. Come on, Pew, right church.
Sally Buemi, 5 Blossom Drive. This is certainly a tougher one. We've had this on our capital budget proposed for several years, but it just sort of just went away without really much discussion. So I don't recall any prior discussions in great detail except starting at the November Board of Finance meeting. You were there. So it really hasn't been at the forefront for a long time. But when it was in the capital budget for the several years, I thought it was at $2 million. That's what I recall. Why is 1,120,000? What is it? 1.2 enough when I saw it much higher in the prior years?
Well, that would include the 2 trucks that we already have on hand.
Okay, so the 2 million would have purchased the trucks and the?
And the pads.
Okay, when did we get the trucks?
It's been about a couple of years now.
Right, well, it was a couple of million last year and the year before. You said that you're hoping you'll be able to save on personnel and have them do other things. Right now, how many guys are on a truck doing it by hand? There's the driver
There's
and...
a driver and 2 collectors.
So you're saying it'll go down to a driver and 1?
Right.
Because you're still going to need the one guy in case the can is put crooked or there's problems. So you will be saving one guy.
Right.
One employee.
Well, we'll be saving 2 employees. Because there'll be 2 of our trucks that are fully automated.
Excuse me,
Okay.
can we stop the chatter?
2.
Please be respectful.
The one thing, when I first heard about this, I was in favor of it. Then I've been talking to a lot of people. I'm not too sure. The thing that I really like about it is the larger recycling bin, I think, will inspire more recycling, which is a good thing. Most houses, you mentioned some houses having 5 or 6 of the little green things. Most people have 1, maybe 2. So I'm hoping that, and the late Nancy Alderman would be happy, that maybe more recycling will take place with the bigger. So that's one thing that I like about it. And also with the lid, we won't have stuff blowing all over the place. But a lot of folks aren't very happy about this. I got invited to quite a few holiday parties in December. We ran into you at some, and talked to a lot of folks. And some folks weren't really happy about this meeting being now at 6 o'clock in the dead of winter at night. They can't drive at night. They can't see driving at night. And, you know, as a member of the Board of Selectmen, just like Michael, I represent all the people in the town. I don't just represent Democrats. I represent Democrats, Republicans, and unaffiliateds. Michael doesn't just recommend Republicans. He represents, I'm sure you agree, everybody in town. And so on behalf of a lot of the folks that I talked to, I would like to, excuse me, I just have to, see, when you get old and you can't wear bifocals, thank you, make a standard subsidiary motion, Madam Moderator. It is one of the standard subsidiaries under Robert's rules. And again, this is just because I talked to so many people who just couldn't make it here tonight. And again, I'm not really even sure if we vote tonight how I'm going to vote. I hope I hear from more of you. It's really close. I'm like 50-50 right now. Like I said, there's a lot I like about it. Some things I'm concerned about. And so on behalf of some of the folks, a lot of folks I spoke to, my subsidiary motion per Robert's rules is a motion to postpone to a time certain. I'll make that motion.
Second. For the
For-
purpose of discussion?
Oh, thank you. So just for purposes of discussion, I would like to make a motion that we postpone just this third matter, not the first 2, which passed overwhelmingly and are already done. This third matter for 3 months so that it could be held in the spring when a 6 o'clock town meeting is in the light and more people might come. I feel an obligation to do that motion on behalf of the many people I spoke with, people who contacted me, and so I'll make that motion. And of course, I will go by the wisdom of this group. You all, you know, we're tough enough to get here tonight, so you're dedicated North Haveners. But I want you to understand why I'm making this motion, and I will go by the wisdom of the group whether to postpone.
Thank you, Sally. The motion has been made and seconded. Those in favor of delaying the matter?
We have discussion on the motion?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
seconded for discussion.
Could I jump in?
Yes.
So, Tim, just let me jump in and give everyone some additional perspective here. So, whatever way this goes tonight, and you're going to decide, I just want to let you know that what's captured my attention on this, among other things. Rich Monaco and I spent a lot of time overseeing the finances of this government. We're considered one of the most well-run municipalities across the state, financially. Our workmen's compensation costs are rising dramatically, and Todd triggered the thought when he spoke earlier, because Todd and I have had a discussion on this. So I want you to understand that whatever happens tonight, keep this in mind. We're self-insured with workman's comp. Every person who gets hurt, the town is paying the salary, and then the town has to pay replacement costs to replace the person who got hurt. Now, when they go for medical treatment, each and every one of you are paying that because we're self-insured here. So we've got, when someone gets hurt, we've got you and us. We have 3 expenses. Paying the salary, even though a portion of it is paid by workman's compensation insurance, which we pay. We're the insurer. Number 2, the replacement costs for that person who got hurt, incremental funding. And the medical costs you're paying, because we're self-insured. So from an efficiency standpoint, however way this goes, I want you to remember this. If this passes, it's $1.2 million over 17 years. It gets amortized that way. So let's say that cost is $88,000 a year for 17 years with the interest costs. We can make an argument, and we study this, Rich and I. We understand what's going on here with workman's comp. We can make an argument that a large portion of that 17-year debt service is going to be offset by a reduction in workman's compensation charges. Remember those 3 costs? We're paying for it. So we've had quite a few workman's compensation issues here. People are getting hurt. These poor guys, and some of them, you know, I understand because I've met with the union too. Some of them are resistant to this. But fundamentally, we can't have guys and women getting hurt on the job. It affects their families, and it affects 3 incremental costs that the taxpayers pay. So whatever happens here tonight, if it gets delayed, I want you to remember the impact that workman's compensation has on this government. Our workman's compensation costs are approximately $620,000 a year. You're paying for that. Thank you.
Okay, the discussion right now is on my motion to postpone. Most of the first selectman's argument that you just heard was in favor of approving the new system, in favor of approving the bonding to change over. So as far as the delay of 3 months, so maybe your argument, because you're concerned about workers' comp, is that's 3 months longer that someone can get hurt. Or if you want to make the argument that the price of these might go up in 3 months, that would definitely come to bear on my motion. Again, this isn't a decision to vote yes or no on changing over to this system. I feel an obligation based on the folks who talked to me who couldn't be here tonight to just try a motion to postpone for 3 months. It's not yes
Sally,
or no
you're
on the
at 30
project.
seconds.
Okay, thank you. So do you feel that it might cause the price to go up if we wait 3 months? Because then I might withdraw my motion, but.
As we see on everything, UI has gone up, Frontier has gone up, streaming has gone up. Do I see those going up? Yes, I do. Do I see the labor cost of getting the arms installed? Yes, I do.
In 3 months. Yeah, well, anyway, I'm more likely to vote in favor of this, but I'm going to stick with my motion to postpone.
Time.
Okay, thank you.
Time.
Can I comment
So-
on the motion?
All right, hang on just a second.
Yeah, everybody needs to
I
pause.
want everybody to understand that right now we are discussing the subsidiary motion, not the original motion, which is whether or not to appropriate this matter of the change in the refuse collection. Okay, so who has not spoken yet on the subsidiary motion? Ma'am.
Hi, Linda Bradnini, 108 Shawmut Avenue. I just have two concerns. I go to Branford every other day and I take the back roads, going through North Branford, who use these lovely bins, to Tuckett Road. I don't know if you've ever traveled that road, but these bins are in the road. The road is narrow enough, trying to get through them. And I live on Shawmut Avenue, which is, houses are close together, trash cans are gonna be together. The normal bins out on the street are cumbersome. I can't even imagine this. So that's my first concern. My second concern is you talk about the workers getting hurt. I worry about my elderly neighbors. My neighbor across the street is
Okay,
86
ma'am.
years old.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're talking about the subsidiary motion,
Oh.
which was to delay this discussion for
Okay.
3 months, okay?
I'm sorry,
Will people have a chance to speak about?
Yes.
Everybody's
motion
going to
is
have a
dealt with.
chance to talk about
Then I'm
whatever.
not-
We just have to follow protocol.
my apologies.
No, don't
Okay.
apologize, please come back.
I'll sit here because I'll come back.
Okay, anyone who has not already spoken on the subsidiary motion and would like to come forward and speak on that?
Leonard Thomas, 7 Upper State Street. On the subsidiary motion, delaying the vote may gain you 2 or 3 people who come, but you may lose other people who are going to be going on vacation or have other commitments. So I don't think that's a valid argument to postpone the vote. We're all here tonight. We all made sure that we got here. If anybody I know that wanted a ride and couldn't have gotten here, I would have gladly picked them up if they had called me. There's the New Haven Transit District that picks people up and takes them around to things. So I believe we should just vote on this and get it done. Because I'm sure that there probably are also some constraints on the bonding issues too that need to be taken care of. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Mr. Como.
Thank you very much for requesting the motion to delay. It should be delayed. We should have way more people on this vote on this. This is a very emotional topic. It's huge. It affects the town, and we should definitely delay this. And I would suggest that this is taken to a referendum so the whole town can vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nick Gill, 108 Grove Road. Regarding the delay.
I'm sorry. Can you clarify? What is your last name?
Gill.
Gill.
Regarding the delay, is there any, like, estimation? Like, I guess my thing is that I'd like a little bit more data on it. Is there any estimation about, like, how much in workers' comp it would save? Like you said, it was $620,000 for workers' comp, but like, how much is that, of that is sanitation and like, you know, just to break it down for people a little bit more?
Well, we can provide that.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak about the subsidiary motion?
Nancy Barrett.
Nancy?
Nancy Barrett, Crestview Drive. So Mr. Frieda had mentioned earlier that this project has been discussed quite a bit, and I have to disagree. I think the purchase of the bins has been discussed quite a bit, but really, this project represents a complete revolution in the way that we collect garbage and recycling in our town. And I think in order for a project like this to actually be successful, it requires education and buy-in. There's been no press coverage of this particular issue in our local press. And I did a little bit of homework, and in particular, I looked into the town of Branford. And again, this does pertain to the resolution to delay. And Branford really has embraced this. First of all, they've been able to secure a grant to get that project off the ground, and that's what paid for their bins. But ultimately, they then put together a series of color pictures that demonstrate exactly the spacing for these bins, both recycling and garbage. And then also they presented other diagrams of how many bags could be contained in each one of these bins, but also important information about what should and should not be included, both in the garbage container and in the recycling container. I think that all of those pieces of information are absolutely essential for the public well-being, and I think that we could use the time between now and whenever we ultimately vote on this to actually have your department as well as others working within the town to put together an educational package, and then we can make an informed decision as an entire community, not just a very small subsection of our community. And I think that that having this additional time, I think, would benefit everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill Richards, North Avenue. For postponing it, I sort of like to back that up also. The main reason is, what I'd like to have a town take a look at it is, have these bins, if we wanted them at that price, to get them out there now, and have them labeled property of North Haven, and look at the possibility of having an outside company other than North Haven pick up the bins to reduce all the liability costs that it would cost the town. Take your manpower now that you have and relocate it under the highway department, not the sanitation portion of the town. So that's why I say postpone the vote on this tonight and take a look at that and see with liability. You'll meet with liability, Mike.
Well, Bill, are you suggesting outsourcing sanitation or relocating the men? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Well, that's going to cost $4 million just to do that.
Well, with the vehicles themselves, they could probably be sold off to an outside sourcing company. Now, I don't know what the fees would be. That's something would have to be looked at. And like you have the tipping fees for up to it goes to Wallingford, I believe, right?
No, not now, no.
All right.
So, but my point is, you're going to be adding $4 million worth of expenses, and right then and there, that's a 1.7 mil increase by doing that. Because when you go out
Excuse me, that's very distracting. Please stop the chatter.
So, you're adding a lot of cost, Bill, doing that.
I don't know. Well, that was just my thought.
Right. So, but that's the answer. So, under this administration, we've never considered terminating the way we pick up trash with our employees.
Right. I don't want to lose your employees.
Right. So, but under that scenario, you are adding about $4 million worth of cost.
I have no idea what it would be. You would have a better idea than me, so I just wanted to bring that up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Did you wish to comment on the subsidiary motion? Okay.
Mike Nappy, Skiff Street. One question is, if we split this in half, what would be the cost for just the arms on the trucks? Away from the garbage cans.
Just around about 165,000.
Okay. Now, the 165,000 for that, would that be falling under more of a capital item? Or would that be something we'd have to actually bond again for?
Want me to answer that? Okay, that'd be a capital item.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in this time, if this discussion is delayed, is it possible we can rewrite this as a compromise and leave the cans out and have them for another bond issue if we want, and have the people buy them if needed? Not everybody needs these, but we need the arms. And I know a lot of people have these with the metal. You know, some have plastic, some have metal. I think that might be the compromise that we could all be happy with.
Okay.
I don't know if we need to wait 3 months, but I mean, if it goes no, can we have another amendment made or another proposition made soon? Is that a possibility?
That's a possibility, yes.
Okay, that would just be my suggestion, to have a compromise on this whole project, because I think that's what all of us really are looking at.
Yeah.
So, all right,
That is
thank
a
you.
possibility, Mike. Yep.
Thank you. Any additional discussion on the subsidiary motion? Alex?
Sorry, not feeling great. Alex Johnson, 50 Fallon Drive. I am actually, I am pro Sally's motion. Mr. Frieda probably knows the number more than this, but the fact that we could fit this many people in one of our elementary school classrooms, and we have 4 elementary schools with, how many classrooms are in each? Like, what, 50, 100 classrooms each? 30, okay. I'm not great at numbers, but at least I have a general idea that this is such a small amount, and I think pushing this off would be a great exercise for this government to find new ways, especially since a lot of our local papers are closing and ending, in looking at new avenues of communicating with the town and making it a practice of how can we get people not only to participate in local government, how people can be educated and know about this, but also I have both my parents are home tonight because they can't handle this cold. My mom struggles with, I always forget the disease, but where like she loses blood circulation in her hands if she goes outside. So being out in this winter and driving at night, and she's a larger number because I don't want her mad when I go home. She's on the older side, beautifully. Please forgive me. She's on the older side, and it's just hard for our older and for our mobility challenged to be able to come out at night, to come out during the winter, to come out when it's darker. So I am actually urging people to vote for Sally's motion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Mary White's got a question.
Yes.
Mary White, Summer Lane. So regarding the sub-motion, if we vote to push this off, does that mean that it will be or could be reintroduced as the compromise that the gentleman was talking about?
Yes, and I'll talk about that when you're through, Mary, if you like, okay? So,
Because if I'm understanding this correctly, that the sub-motion, if approved, would, in the reintroduction, which would be minus the cans, but the arms and the equipment, okay, would be purchased, would give residents where the town collects their trash the option of going for this, and then there would be some type of sign up, or the cans would be registered to the particular address. So both would be happening. So there would be less stress on the employees, because some people want this and some people don't. So it's going to, if it's 50-50, I don't know what it is. But it's definitely going to be a less stress on them with the, injuries, surgeries, and all that. So, so I think if this motion passes, sub-motion passes, and it gives, and it's reintroduced in 3 months or however many months, then I think giving people the choice whether or not to participate, I think that that's a positive thing.
Yeah.
Because nobody likes to be forced into doing something. That's kind of against our human nature. So I'm leaning towards voting for the sub-motion because of a potential compromise in the future.
Okay, so I'm going to say, after listening to the public tonight, I agree. I think that I go along with the motion to delay, however we want to position it. I like Mike Nappy's recommendation about the arms. I'm going to propose we go forward with the arms, probably through capital or some other mechanism. It's $165,000, and we spend more time on this and reintroducing it at a later point in time. I think that, after listening here, I think that's probably the best compromise right now.
All right, thank you. All right, we will now vote on the sub-motion. All in favor of the sub-motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All against, please say nay.
Nay. I think we're going to have to have you guys.
Hand vote.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a hand vote. Yeah. So, and stand if you can. I think that would be very helpful. We have a lot of people in this small room. Don't you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
Point of order, can you just define the sub-motion as to delay only?
Right. The sub-motion concerns delaying.
No, we're voting to delay.
Right. We're not voting on what's going to happen with the trash receptacles. We are voting on the motion to delay.
Sub-motion to delay.
So if you are in favor of the delay, please signify by standing up.
We're down in the back.
We're down in the back, okay.
All right. 1, 2. Just stay still. I'm counting, please. The 2 in the back who were standing previously, are you favoring delay? Okay. Okay. Well, I'm just checking. Okay, so there's that.
And how many?
25.
25 to delay. Okay, please be seated, and anyone who is not in favor of the delay, please stand.
So all of you in the back corner are standing? Okay, so that's 1, 2. Is there anybody behind the gentleman with the orange hat? Is there anybody behind the gentleman with the orange hat?
There's 4 people back here.
No, behind you directly.
Oh, no, that's where you want. No, right here, no.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 22? Hold on, 16, 18, 19. I've got 19. But it still wouldn't matter. So it's 25-19.
Yes. So the motion, the sub-motion carries and passes, so this matter will be delayed. What do we do about the original motion?
Nothing.
Okay.
It's all done.
All right, so this discussion will take place later.
The meeting's not over. Everyone, please.
As there exists no further business to be considered tonight, I hereby declare this special town meeting adjourned. The minutes of this meeting will be made available to the public by the town clerk as soon as possible. Thank you very much and good night.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the Town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.